Some nice nominees, you know what I'm saying, for Best Artist Group of the Year, you know what I'm saying? Strong players in the hip-hop industry, you know what I'm saying? What up, son? Yeah. What's that, son? Well, there's more enough respect, dude. And check it out. For all this year's nominees.
What's up, everyone? This is the 2016 Columbus Comics Corner Picks of the Year. Even though we started late in the game in 2016, we started in October, so we don't have a full year in us, but we were able to discuss plenty of comics to choose from nonetheless within the 4-month span that we've been, 3 or 4 month span that we have been doing this. And with me, as always, is Alan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. Yeah, we are actually recording this post episode 14. And I started drinking because of Wolf Cop. So I'm not drunk just yet. And I'm behind the mixing board, so I have to make sure I don't get too tipsy. But yeah, we are here to discuss we have 4 categories this year. We have a top 5 favorite artist team. Then we have top 5 favorite writers. And then we also have top 5 favorite issues. And then, unfortunately, we have top 5 disappointing issues. And before that, just so everyone's aware, you can find us on Podbean, all of our episodes on Podbean at columbuscomicscorner.podbean.com. You can find us on Twitter as well at Comics Corner Pod, or just search under Columbus Comics Corner as well, and you'll be able to find us. If you want to email us, you can do so as well at columbuscomicscorner@gmail.com, and we'll read them live on air as well. And if you want to subscribe, rate, and review us, we'll also we'll talk about your reviews on iTunes. And so subscribe to us there, leave us any comments, some feedback is always nice. Other than that, I think we're good. So yeah, let's start off with our top 5 favorite artist team. And I'll let you start with your number 5 first.
Alright, well, my number 5 is the team of Barry Kitson as penciler, Mark Farmer as inker, and Jordan Boyd as colorist. And the specific issue that I'm picking them for is going to be for the Avengers 2.1 issue.
Okay. Nice.
Overall, they came together to give some pretty solid, classic, yet fresh new art. And I really liked the work they did in this issue.
I enjoy that art a lot. Nice. That may pop up on one of my lists as well.
My
number 5 this year is a book that we just finished talking about. It's Veronica Fish and Rachel Rosenberg, excuse me, for the Spider-Man series that they're currently doing right now. With the story and the blend of art that they're doing, it just really fits with the storytelling, and overall, I really enjoyed it. It's somewhat of a brighter color book. I wouldn't say it's too cartoony-ish, but it does have that pop feel to it. It does pop off the pages, which I do like. But yeah, and Spider-Woman's been a good book, so I've been enjoying that all around.
Yeah, it's been a solid book.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think it's funny because the next book that I am about to say is actually something else that we've been reviewing. We actually talked about one of these this evening. Was going to be the pencils of Eddie Barrows, inks by Eber Fiera, and he did finishing pages for this issue, but it's Julio Ferreira. And colors by Arnano Lucas, and specifically it's for the Detective Comics Victim Syndicate run.
Okay.
While we had some issues with the overall story, the whole arc with this, I did enjoy the artwork in every issue. It was very solid colors, just everything just spoke to me. So I thought that this was a solid outing.
Yeah, it's that doesn't appear on my list, but it was in the runnings. I did enjoy that art. Overall, though, some good stuff in there. Nice. And so that brings us to my number 4. which is going to be Jonathan Marks Barasheva, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and Rachel Rosenberg again. But this is for the particular issue of Scarlet Witch number 13, which we discussed 2 weeks ago, I believe. It was really solid art. I like the blend. It was a very multimedia blend of artwork. They kind of like a collage. They had real life art mixed with the sort of psychedelic with your normal comic book art, and I really haven't seen that in any mainstream comic, at least. I've seen it kind of in like I don't know if you ever read like Heavy Metal at all. I picked up any of those comics, but it kind of had that sort of style, kind of just blending a little bit of everything. And I'm a sucker for collage art and multimedia type stuff, so. But that would have to be my number 4 pick, because I really enjoyed it.
It's funny because when we decided to do this episode and start coming up with these rankings and everything, I knew for a fact that you were going to choose that issue. I didn't know where you were going to rank it, but I knew for a fact, I was like, he is going to pick Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
So I remember you really did love the artwork on that episode, and I don't blame you. It was good artwork. Like you said, it was definitely unique, and there's a bunch of tricks and techniques that we don't really see in a lot of the comics that we review, or that we even see from, like you said, mainstream.
Yeah.
That was a solid pick.
Yeah, because I mentioned at one point, I think the last, we're in there, when they get to the end of the road, and they're looking down, and it's that blend of that collage blend they did. I was like, I would get that. I want to get that framed, which I still am at some point. I got to get that framed.
You're still gung ho getting that.
I'm still gung ho on finding that and getting that.
I don't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
That brings me to what, number 3? Is this number 3?
Yeah, we're at 3.
Okay, well, number 3 for me is Jim Chung as penciler, John Dale as inker, and Justin Ponser as color artist. And the this is particularly for the Clone Conspiracy, Spider-Man.
Okay.
I love the art in this. I'm liking the story. I've said it on some of the other episodes. I like the story, but I definitely like the art. For me, it's not the normal kind of art you see in a Spider-Man book, even though they do manage to kind of capture that classic Spider-Man look when they do the flashbacks. But overall, I think it's solid art in that book, Clone Conspiracy.
Yeah, that was in my my wheelhouse as well for possible pick. It came close. Definitely came close. I enjoyed that art for sure. Especially, I love the design of what is his name? Well, now we know it as, well, spoilers.
Oh, Jackal?
Jackal, yeah. I thought Jackal looked really cool. It had a nice, overall, they gave him, like, there was one panel I remember in particular, I think it was the last, it was either Amazing Spider-Man or the last Clone Conspiracy, but there was, like, just a really cool, like, shine reflection that they did off of his helmet, because it was, like, a full face panel. I thought it was really cool. Nice. Cool. So my number 3 is going to be Nick Darrington, and it's for the whole Doom Patrol run up until now. It's been almost, it's had a nice blend of psychedelic meets cartoon art, but cartoon art done in a not a Cartoon Network type of way, not a kids show type of way. And it's just really fit the storytelling of Doom Patrol as well, and it had the homage to Infinity Crisis, wherein Superman is holding Supergirl, but they use that page to tell the narrative for the story as well. So I just thought overall they're doing a really good job. It sucks that they keep getting delayed, but hopefully I'm really hoping issue 4 is like out of this world, because they've had 2 or 3 delays now on the number 4. So I'm really hoping that they, when they come together for issue 4, that it blows my mind as much as issue 3 did.
All right. Well, I think it's fun. I'll end up touching on that real soon. I do have something to say about that.
Okay.
But I'll save it.
All right. Savor it.
Yeah. My number 2 is going to be the team of Sean Phillips and Elizabeth Brettweiser. I did pronounce that correctly, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing Sean is the inker.
Yeah, he is the inker, and Elizabeth does the colors.
Okay, that's what I figured. And obviously, as you probably have guessed by now, this is for Killer Be Killed. You actually introduced me to this book. I have found it very interesting, and I love the art and the look of this book. I love the kind of, I want to say, muted colors. There's not really too many colors that necessarily are really, really bright. Even colors that should be bright in this book are like muted and kind of dark and have almost like a I don't want to say a grayish overtone to them, but they're not really I guess bright would be the best way to describe it.
No, I would agree. Yeah, it's bright as well as like a grayscale.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, grayscale.
Yeah, but when they do provide the colors, it really like pops off and stands out. Elizabeth does a great job.
I think the face mask is the one color that really pops the most, like the reds. The reds in that book like really jump out.
They really do. Even in the last issue when he was all beaten up and his face is bloody, the red even though it was like a little darker, it still popped off of like, because his face is pretty gray and black. But yeah, it still popped off. But that's one of my favorite teams, man. I can't go wrong with Elizabeth Brettweiser and Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker. I'm actually going to be this is a side note, but I'm actually going to be a guest some point in the spring, a podcast called Undertow.
Okay.
And their podcast is all dedicated to Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips books.
Oh.
And at some point, I'm going to do a Killer Be Killed book with them as well. So we'll have 2 coverages on it.
Well, good luck on that, because you introduced me to Brubaker and Killer Be Killed, and I'm glad you did. Like I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm glad you are, because he was one of my go-tos when I got back into comics. I was reading Daredevil, and so I had picked up his Brubaker run, or Daredevil's Brubaker run, and I was like, I want to see what else this guy's doing, and then found all of his other stuff, his independent stuff. I was like, yeah, because he's always had a passion for that sort of stuff. So, but good stuff. Cool. My number 2 is going to be Brett Parson for his all of his work on Tank Girl Gold so far. It's been, it's really hard to describe this book as well. It's cartoony, but it's not, again, Cartoon Network or cheesy type colors. And there's a lot of details and a lot of background stuff that he provides, throughout the storytelling that I really just enjoy. And the overall color scheme and just the feel of the book, like, because his style reflects. I can't believe I'm blanking on the original artist's name because he's part of the Gorillas. But Brett Parsons' artwork kind of recalls back to the original artwork, which I'm a huge fan of. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I do love it, because it kind of harkens back to the original style.
All right, once again, that's one of those books where I've had a couple issues maybe laying around here and never really read them, and then we started doing that, and I'm kind of glad I did. Always been interested in it, and the last few issues that we've done have been fun.
Yeah.
I had always thought like the artwork from there reminded me of the Gorillas, and I really honestly had no idea that there was a connection there.
Yes, sir.
So I thought that was awesome when you told me about that. I was like, that's awesome. That explains a lot then. All right, so I guess that brings me to my number 1, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're already there.
Yeah. Well, my number 1 features Stefano Caselli as artist and Moretti Gracia as color artist. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these artists' names correctly. I'm so sorry if I'm not, but I love your work, and I'm still gonna give you your props. And they are a art team for the Invincible Iron Man. And I've overall have loved seeing Riri Williams, even though it's only been 2 issues. I've loved everything about it. I've loved the writing. I've loved the art. It's kind of hard to describe. It's got a comic feel to it, but there are some areas where they manage to really capture the seriousness of people's faces when they're having serious discussions. And the artwork has definitely benefited the emotional pull of the story.
Yeah.
So the art has been perfect in the areas where like you really need to feel something. It has been lighthearted in the areas where you really need to just enjoy the moment and laugh.
No, I agree. That almost made my list as well. They're very close, like very close. But yeah, I would give them an honorable mention as well. But yeah, they were very close for me. I enjoyed the artwork as well. My number 1 is, you kind of already touched on it, but it is Sean Phillips and Elizabeth Breitweiser for Kill or Be Killed. Kind of everything that, just to harken back to kind of what you said and what we already spoke about, with the grayscale and using the bright colors to make certain scenes pop off and to provide the narrative as well. Overall, just like I said, solid team and one of my favorites in the comic industry right now.
I knew that was going to be on your list somewhere. I kind of figured it was going to be your number 1. I'm surprised and not surprised at the same time that it made it to your number 1.
Oh yeah.
But I do remember that was one of the big, other than the story, that was one of the big things that you were telling me about that you loved about the book was the artwork.
Yeah, they always
even when we reviewed it, you were gushing over the artwork. So like I knew that was probably gonna be your number 1.
Yeah, between the panel layouts that they would do sometimes and the colors and the inks, just superb work.
I don't blame you. Solid choice. You see, it made my list.
Yeah, I'm glad it did. Mm-hmm. You have an honorable mention for this category?
Yes, I actually have a couple honorable mentions. The first one is the team of Nick Darrington, Tamara Bonvanelli for Doom Patrol.
Oh, did I? Maybe she was on a different issue.
Yeah, well, it's for me. It's specifically number 3.
Okay.
And it was funny because you were talking about the Crisis on Infinity Earths cover and everything, but that's the issue where like they used a bunch of different covers and things from comics throughout the issue. So there was a lot of different change ups in the artwork and the flow of the story. So I actually liked I thought it was funny the way that they were able to capture those elements from different comics, but put a twist on them.
Yeah. And using it in the storytelling as well. Yeah, it was really nice.
My next honorable mention is Michael Jenin, who does pencils, inks, and he did the cover. The cover. June Chung, and specifically this is for the Batman I Am Suicide run. Story had some ups, it had some downs and everything, but one thing I can always say that I enjoyed about it was the artwork.
Yeah, the art was on point.
I definitely enjoyed. Obviously, one of my favorite parts was the Batman running through the prison, beating up the army, and then I always enjoyed the Marlon Brando Bane.
Naked Bane.
That was always fun to see.
Yeah.
And my next honorable mention, I said I had a couple. My next honorable mention is Robbie Rodriguez and Chris Visions, along with Rico Renezi, and they are the team on Spider-Gwen. I've always liked the Spider-Gwen artwork since it started her run. It's just fun to me, and the artwork fits in with a different universe. Like, it just seems like even from the artwork that you're in another universe. You're not in the regular Marvel universe.
Yeah,
I think it really fits the character in the world.
Yeah, I would definitely say that for like the past 3 issues, at least, that we've talked about, that it's really made it seem like a different universe, which has been nice. Like, I wouldn't throw it on my list, so to say, but yeah, I definitely agree with you that it definitely makes it feel like a different universe, as it should, since she is in a different universe. So they're doing the right job there.
All right, and those are my honorable mentions. You got any?
Yeah, I have one. This is kind of a cheat because we didn't really talk about this book, but it did come out. Well, it ended this year. It's Gabriel Hernandez and Jordi Belair for their Vision run. I wish I could remember the cover artist name at times. I believe it's Mike Walta. I'm sure I know I got the last name right, but I think that first name's wrong. Overall, the colors that they provided on that book were it was a new take on something I hadn't really seen before. I really wish we're going to discuss Vision at some point, but just the color scheme that was used throughout the book just really helped show the emotion. And just the facial expressions as well really showed the emotion throughout the entire series, and it's definitely one of my top series from this year. But yeah, it's my only honorable mention for that one. But that brings us to our top 5 favorite writers for the issues that we have covered, and I'll go ahead and start this one off. My number 5 is going to be Tom Taylor for All New Wolverine. Although the last issue was a little slower than I expected, it's still provided, so far, Tom Taylor's provided a solid story for X-23, Laura Kinney, with the dialogue between her and Gabby. Just makes it for a really good read, and almost you feel like you're riding along with them throughout their trek and whatnot. So that would be my number 5 for this year.
Okay, I highly doubt this is going to happen too many more times through this segment, but for me, my number 5 is actually Tom Taylor.
Nice.
For All New Wolverine. Like you said, the last issue or two has been kind of slow, but I've been enjoying the relationship between Laura and Gabby. And I've definitely been loving the idea of them being kind of sort of on the run in a way.
Yeah. And
I think where they're at now, the story has some potential with it. It could head somewhere pretty good. I've had some emotional moments with the trigger scent and all that. That triggered some emotions in me, because I've followed this character. So I know, what was going to happen with her when she got around that trigger scent. But yeah, overall, like I'm liking it. I think he's doing a pretty good job. I think he set up something big. I think these last 2 issues have just been a little bit of marinating for us, and the next issue is going to be something nice.
Yeah, let's hope so. I definitely look forward to it. Oh yeah, it probably won't happen again. That we'll have the same one. Well, maybe at least. I think I'll call it one other time. It'll probably happen.
I think we may have another couple books that are in the same categories, but probably not in the same ranking.
Okay. Cool. That brings us to my number 4. It's going to be, I really wanted to place this person way above my list, but it's Tom King for I Am Suicide Squad. While it had its solid moments throughout the book, and it was a new and slightly kind of a, not a rehash, but Tom King kind of wanted to, I think since he was first time writing Batman, you know, he wanted to have his Batman moments that he's always wanted to put into a comic. But overall, I think the I Am Suicide Squad arc could have been a little better. But I still think he did a solid job writing it. But that's why I would put him at number 4, just because out of everything I've read of his so far, this was probably the one thing I wasn't expecting. So, the conclusion at least.
Okay, well, I may or may not get a little bit of hate from you for this one, just because of the position I'm putting it in. But my number 4 is actually going to be Ed Brubaker. As I said, you introduced me to Killer Be Killed.
He made your list. Huh? I said as long as he made your list.
I was about to say, I'm going to get some hate because of the position, but the fact he's on here is going to give me some points back.
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty much new to him. I've never really gotten into specific writers and artists and everything, and that's one thing doing the show has done for me, is actually had me paying attention a little bit more to who's writing what, who's drawing what. But Ed Brubaker, I've loved Killer Be Killed. I'm excited to see where it's going. Each issue has expanded the story in an interesting way, and the last issue did leave me on a cliffhanger and had me pondering some serious questions, but it wasn't a bad cliffhanger, and it had me asking the kind of questions that are the kind of questions you want somebody to ask who's going to come back to find out.
Yeah. No doubt. Cool, sweet. Yeah, I would touch on that at some point. But my number 3 is going to be Brett Parson for Tank Girl Gold. This book is really, it's like, it's super relatable in a way, just because of the goofiness and some of the things that they partake in, some of the humor overall. That was like, that first issue was like super crude, and then the second issue is all about, you know, this ridiculous adventure of making a movie and running away from the military and starting a new sport. It's just been a fun, not relaxing, but just a fun read all around. And I always look forward to, now at least, reading Tank Girl now. I just always look forward to what they're going to be doing with Tank Girl moving forward. So yeah, I can't give that book enough praises. But yeah, that's going to be my number 3.
Okay, that's solid. Definitely agree with everything you said about Tank Girl. Tank Girl has really been fun. I think it's been a break from some of the other types of books we've been doing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's what you're going for. It's been more of a break. It's been a fun break. My number 3 is going to be Mark Waid, and I wouldn't consider this cheating because this is really for one book so far, but this one book was good enough for me to want to come back for more, and that was for Champions, specifically number 3, because we did Champions number 3.
That almost made my list as well.
I loved the story. I liked the team. I liked the dialogue. You could tell it's a good writer when you see the team and you're unsure that you're going to like the book based off the team, but you start reading the book and you're like, this actually works. The dialogue is perfect. Each person has a distinct personality. These personalities mix a specific way on the team. And number 3 was a simple, yet it was a strong story.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It almost made my list for one of my categories. I can't remember which one. I think it might have been almost my favorite issue, one of my favorite issues. It almost made the category 4. So that was a solid issue. Picking up and yeah, everything you said, just to kind of harken what you're saying. Good issue, or a good writer. Sweet. My number 2 is going to be Gerard Way for Doom Patrol. Since he's taking it over, I thought it's been pretty solid. The third issue really hooked me in though. Just like, cause I'm a big fan of the weirdo psychedelic type of books and just the kind of off the wall type stuff. But yeah, really, if you're not reading Doom Patrol, definitely go read it, because it's hard to it's hard to explain if you haven't read up to issue 3 to see really where this story is going. But yeah, issue 3 just really caught me, wrapped me into this whole Doom Patrol world, and being pretty new to Doom Patrol. Like, I picked up a couple back issues because I wanted to get into it, but I didn't really know a solid starting place. So I was really excited when the whole Young Animal thing was announced, and they were like, Doom Patrol. I'm like, sweet. I get a nice, somewhat of a fresh break into this Doom Patrol world. And while it hints at some of the past stuff, he's still giving us plenty of a new story as well to blend in with the continuity of Doom Patrol, which I'm really digging. But that would be my number 2.
I knew Doom Patrol was going to pop up on some other list for you.
Oh yes.
Hey, good book, good story, good writer. So I can't be upset that it popped up again. For me though, my number 2. Some people might not appreciate that I put this writer at number 2, but it's actually going to be Brian Michael Bendis, and that is specifically for Invincible Iron Man. I know it popped up again. I love the art. I love the writing. I like the character. I was one of those people who wasn't sure I would even like the attempt to have somebody replace Tony Stark as Iron Man, but I am loving what they've done so far with Riri Williams, and for me, she is a solid replacement for the character. Love this book.
Yeah, the second issue really got me.
Yes.
I've always...
It's funny because that's the specific one that I picked based off of the writing.
Nice. Yeah, sometimes Bendis has been a hit or miss for me. When I got back into comics, I read all of his New Avengers run, and that run is pretty... Have you read that run at all? When Luke Cage is running the Avengers.
Oh, you're talking about all New Avengers?
All New Avengers.
I read some of it.
Okay, you should finish it. It's really, really solid stuff in there. But yeah, some of his stuff has been okay. But yeah, he could be a hit or miss for me. But he's getting Riri right, and I'm all about it. All right, sweet. So my number 1 is, can you guess?
Oh, it's gotta be Ed Brubaker.
That's right, Ed Brubaker for Kill or Be Killed.
How I do it, ladies and gentlemen.
Kill or Be Killed. Yeah. Again, I can't say enough how much of an Ed Brubaker fan I am since getting into comics. It's always been a nice relief from I'm a big fan of I'm not gonna say crime noir, but like crime or documentaries. Like, I'm a huge documentary fan, so this almost seems like a documentary for this character that we've met. But yeah, just solid writing, and if you listen to interviews with Ed Brubaker, sometimes if you possibly might be able to relate with him as well. I think that's another connection as well. He was on How Did This Get Made? You ever listen to that podcast?
No.
Okay. He was on there. He did Daredevil with them, and then he did another movie. But yeah, if you just listen to him, and he tells a little bit of his backstory. But yeah, he's just an interesting and smart writer. But yeah, he's my number 1. How about you?
Well, my number 1 is actually a team.
All right.
And that would be Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. And this is for the In the Name of the Father story arc for Superman.
That almost made my list too. That almost made my list too.
Well, and anybody who's been listening to the show, the end of last year when we did issue 10 and 11 of Superman, they know that's when Damian Wayne and John Kent actually met, and I loved that whole dynamic of those two meeting. And this is one of the comics that I've been really looking forward the most coming out from DC is Super Sons, and this was like the prequel to Super Sons to get us ready. So I can't wait. I really seriously cannot wait. I think it's funny though that my number 1 and number 2 books both technically only have 2 issues to them, as opposed to being like a whole run or a whole series.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, I was going to say that was almost one of my picks as well, just for that whole that prequel, because that was some damn good writing.
Yeah, it really was.
Made you feel for the characters too.
Yeah, it's that had me looking at Damian Wayne in a slightly different light.
Yeah, it's cool to follow him, follow Damian right now. You know, since we started with the Super Sons prequel, now we're reading Teen Titans and seeing how they're trying to lighten him up in a way. They're not going to do it like suddenly. Like
it's not happening overnight.
Yeah, he's still battling it, which I'm perfectly fine with, because it shouldn't be like you said. Yeah, it shouldn't be an overnight thing. But yeah, good stuff. Cool. That's going to lead us into now our top 5 favorite issues. I'll let you start off.
Yes. Okay. Well, number 5 for me is actually going to be Batman number 13, which was the end of the I Am Suicide arc. I love this issue. It was hard for me because there was a couple issues from the I Am Suicide that I wanted to do, but I love this one probably the most because of the way the plan came together at the end. The fact that he left Bane broken in the cell to the point where Bane is now about to get back on Venom, and then the whole hint at something deeper about to happen with Catwoman and Batman.
Yeah, which we're about to find out in the Catwoman arc, and then we got the Bane arc coming up after that.
I know.
See how that all plays into things. Nice. All right, sweet. So my number 5 is going to be... I thought we were going to have the same number 5 at first, but mine is Avengers 2.1. It was cool to pick up that book. I had heard some solid hype around it, so I picked it up, and it didn't fail me. Jumping onto the second issue of that series, it just harkened back to the old school feel. Just the way it was laid out. It had like the editorial editorial stuff in the back, and just Mark Waid's writing all around. Excuse me, for that issue. It was just a fun book to see, that gap that we hadn't seen in the past. So, yeah, overall, good, solid issue for me.
That's respectable. Trust me, Avengers 2.1 nearly made the actual list.
Nice.
It came close for the reason, for the old school feel and everything.
Yeah.
But my number 4. Yet again, I may get a little bit of hate for this, but I'll get some cool points back for it. It's going to be Kill or Be Killed, and actually for issue number 4.
Okay.
Out of this first run, I think number 4 was my favorite. I enjoyed getting a little peek into his mind and actually watch him research who he's going to take out, actually attempt it and have it backfire. I enjoyed finally seeing the red mask go on, and I definitely enjoyed the teaser at the end.
Yeah, that was a pretty big reveal. I need to go back.
Yeah, with the reveal of his dad's artwork and stuff from the stories.
Yep, I'm gonna go back and read all 4 of those issues before we talk about it again, because that comes out next week. I think.
Well, I think that's what I'm going to do too. I think before I get to issue 5, I'm going to read the first 4 issues again.
Yep. That's another good thing about that book too. It's had a great readability value to it. makes you pick up on new things. Doom Patrol as well. A lot of these books, actually. I still need to go back and read I Am Suicide Squad, like, all the way through now. I've been meaning to do that. Sweet. Cool. So that's going to bring us to my number 4. And my number 4 is going to be Superman number 10. Not being a big Superman fan, and you had hyped up the Super Sons coming, so we had talked about it, and I fell in love with the issue. Just the interaction between the parallels between father and son, between the issue throughout the issue was just fantastic. The art was superb. The dialogue, Peter Tomasi and Gleason, just killed it, and that whole Super Sons prequel arc was just solid to me. It probably could have made it higher on my list, but not to say that it's not to degrade it in any way. But it was just a solid, fun arc to read.
Understandable. For those listening to this episode, it's kind of hard narrowing down to 5 books, because we've read a lot of books within we've been doing the show for like 3-4 months maybe.
Yep.
So we've read a ton of books. I mean, we do on average 6 books a week. Mm-hmm. And there's 4 weeks in a month.
Just wait till we get a whole year under our belt now.
Yeah, wait till we do the wrap up for 2017. Like
that's gonna be harder.
We might have to up that. It might have to be top 10 for 2017. But number 3 for me is actually going to be Champions number 3. Once again, I did not expect to enjoy this team. But we actually picked this book. I really wasn't interested in reading it, but we picked it for the show, so I was like, let's do it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the mixture of all the characters. Some characters I knew, some characters I didn't know, some characters I haven't seen in a while. The story, like I said, was a simple story, but it was a good story and had a good message to it.
Yes, it
and
did.
There were funny moments in it, and there was a lot of funny moments in this book.
Yeah, the way
and it definitely. I was going to say it definitely made me want to jump on and continue reading this series. Like I really like Champions now.
No, I agree. Yeah, while it didn't make my list, I definitely enjoyed that issue as well. Especially their plan, how they tackled the issue in number 3. Solid work. But I forgot to bring up, did you have any honorable mentions for favorite writers?
Actually I did, and this is about to be hilarious when I do this. But I had 2 honorable mentions. Sean Gabarani. I'm slaughtering names right now. But it was for the Puppet Masters Halloween '89 issue. And I guess that kind of could have also got honorable mention for art, because most of the book had no dialogue to it. So it was essentially carried by the art, but the dialogue that was in it worked well with the art. It actually helped carry the story along. And if you remember when we did this, when I read the dialogue, it clicked it to me exactly when this was taking place and exactly which Puppet Master movie this was taking place after.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree. It didn't have much dialogue, but excuse me, you really didn't need the dialogue for it, because the art kind of told the story as well.
It did. I think the dialogue that was there was more for the fans of Puppet Master, because they could have done this whole story with no dialogue, but the dialogue they did put in there, like I said, it clicked for me and go like, okay, well this is in between 1 and 2.
Nice. Yeah, so some fan service in there.
And the next one is actually going to be Mark Waid for Avengers 2.1. What did it say? Didn't I actually put him on the list?
I don't think so.
Whether I did or didn't, he gets on there twice if I did.
Yeah, I don't think you did.
Okay. Well, yeah, for Avengers 2.1, like you were saying, Avengers 2.1 was a fun book. Dialogue wise, story wise, just everything about it just screened back to the earlier time in the Avengers history.
Yeah.
It was fun seeing the second incarnation of the team in a different light.
Yes, the old school.
Those were my only two honorable mentions for what was that category that we just did?
Writers.
Writers, yes. So, as I was about to do, I need to get back to my favorite issues. And I'm on what, number 2 now? Or is it you?
Me. Well, I just have.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I have a quick honorable mention for writers. It's David F. Walker for Power Man and Iron Fist. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid dialogue, and it gives it that old school '70s Power Man Iron Fist feel with a modern take on it. So he's doing a great job with that. But we're at number 3. Yeah. So back to favorite issues. My number 3 is going to be Tank Girl Gold. Number 2. That was when I think that was the first issue that I had read, at least, and I was like, holy shit. And then I went back and read Gold number 1. But yeah, Gold number 2 was that was like the first issue where it was just a breather from the rest of the superhero or crime stuff, and it was just all out pretty fun book with the, like I mentioned this before, with the whole them making a movie and them creating their whole dirty little weird sport they had going on. But yeah, it just popped off, and it was just a fun read. Excuse me, I need to drink something.
Man, Tank, you got so excited about Tank Girl, you got dehydrated over there.
I know. Let me clear my throat.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, while he's rehydrating, I will go ahead and jump to my number 2. And number 2 for me is, funny enough, Invincible Iron Man number 2. As I stated a little while ago, like I love what's going on with Riri Williams. I really enjoyed issue number 2 because we got a glimpse at her actually training with the Tony Stark AI, which was awesome. I enjoyed the flashback. They gave us a deeper glimpse into why she feels compelled to try to be a hero. It was very emotional seeing her in the hospital being interviewed by the detective, and watching the Avenger footage on the TV behind the detective, and just you have that moment where you see it clicks in her head, like, I need to be a hero. I need to save lives. And she beats Tony Stark. Like, she outsmarts Tony Stark. Which is awesome. That shows even more like she's a good replacement. She outsmarts the mentor.
I would definitely agree. Yeah, I can't wait for that book to wrap up and see what they finally do with her, and hopefully Marvel treats Riri Williams correctly, and they don't pull a Civil War and go off and kill her. Because at some point, we all know, Tony Stark's going to return as Iron Man. So the telling story is going to be, what are they going to do with Riri in the end? So that would be like my only concern right now is, we know Marvel has a weird streak of how they like to treat certain characters after certain events and how they bring them back and whatnot. So I just hope they take care of her.
I do too. She has so much potential, and they're doing a great job with her and setting her up right now. And I said it when we reviewed this issue. I'm so anticipating the issue when she actually gets her official armor.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm enjoying the journey of her learning and keeping the video diary and everything. Like, everything about this comic, I'm enjoying.
Nice. Hell yeah. Cool. That's going to bring us to my number 2, which is going to be Doom Patrol number 3. Like I mentioned earlier, just the flow of the book, and this issue in particular really opened up the story and the plot of everything that's going on. We finally learn an origin of the main character, and just all the, I don't want to say parodies, but the homages that they touched on again with the whole, her walking into a comic book store, and you had Danny's Comics, a play on obviously Detective Comics, and then the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths parody while providing the narrative throughout the whole story. But it's just solid storytelling all around, and it's just it's been one of my books of the year. So Doom Patrol all the way.
All right, I knew Doom Patrol was going to be on this list also. Didn't know where, but I knew it was going to be on there.
You know me so well.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You start doing shows with people and you start learning stuff.
Yep.
Well, for me, my number one is actually going to be Superman number 10, which of course was part 1 of In the Name of the Father. This was my favorite issue of the year. I loved Damian and John's interaction from the moment that it comes over this plot to kidnap John to the moment in the end when they're trying to bond and they end up fighting in the cave and the fathers have to step in. And I absolutely love the fatherly back and forth between Batman and Superman, where they're not Batman and Superman, they're two fathers, and they're kind of trying to take up for their sons and kind of trying to show and say how they're a better father than the other one in a way. Like, this book was just so fun.
No, I definitely agree. Obviously, yeah, it made my list as well. But yeah, we both gushed over that book when we discussed it. We even mentioned we probably could have gone on for like a whole hour just to talk about that book.
It could have been an episode by itself.
Good stuff. Excuse me. I'm going to have to cheat a little bit for this one, for my number one, because we did not discuss it, but it was a very important book of 2016, and that is the DC Rebirth Special, number 1.
Ooh, good choice.
Since I've already mentioned on here before, if you haven't listened yet, I did not read any of the New 52. I read Flashpoint, just because I was a Flash fan when I got back into comics as well. But reading DC Rebirth, it had it was like jumping. It was like I only missed DC Comics for like a month, because when I read DC Rebirth, it harkened everything that I had left out or left off on. With Barry finally getting hold of Wally coming back into the mix. Wally was gone for the whole time. That was a pivotal moment. Probably one of the most emotional moments in a comic book, I think, this year, was the exchange between Wally and Barry, and Wally finally coming back into the fold of things. And just, as well as all the other stories, I didn't follow Green Lantern as much, but the superheroes that I did enjoy before I left reading comics, coming back into DC Rebirth, I felt like I was back at home with the special. So, and then the whole Watchmen, some people knock on the whole Watchmen thing, but them bringing Watchmen into it, I'm optimistic to see what they do with it. They can either fuck it up real bad, or we just saw the tweet today from Jeff Johns, and more than likely I think he's going to be writing the next special. But again, DC can either drop the ball on this, or this can be a very, very, very big event. But overall, DC Rebirth just felt like it brought me back home to where I left off with DC, and it was a pretty special book to me. And if you read DC Rebirth Special with the Batman vs. Suicide Squad soundtrack, damn, I recommend it to anyone who hasn't done that yet. You'll get all the feels.
I think I'm gonna have to go back and reread it and do that.
You
Sounds awesome.
You really should, man. I'm telling you. And then let me know. Because, yeah, you'll be like, oh shit. Especially when, Wally's coming back into the fold of things. And when he's talking to Linda. Good stuff. But, do you have any honorable mentions for your favorite issues?
Yeah, I actually had 3, and then you just changed it to 4. So, let's do this. Avengers 2.1 is honorable mention. As you said, love that issue. Art great, story great, fun to see that time period revisited. Also, my previous one I said, Puppet Master Halloween '89 #1 was also an issue that I loved this year. I've been slipping on reading my Puppet Master issues this year, and this was a fun one to read.
Nice.
Death of X #4 is actually on my list. I kind of want to say the whole series is Death of X, but for the reveal at the end, because the reveal just kind of blew my mind that they would do that way, and that
it's ballsy.
I got my wish, but I got it a lot sooner than I thought I was going to get it. And then, of course, if you haven't figured out by now, thanks to you, my last honorable mention is going to actually be the DC Rebirth special. I've been on and off with the New 52, but I've been one of those people who liked a lot of the old continuity and was upset with a lot of the changes that were made to certain characters, and characters like Wally that disappeared and breaking up certain iconic characters. So it was fun to actually see that we're going to be getting that back. And like you said, the Watchmen reveal at the end, that was awesome. I'm one of those people who's optimistic that this is going to be, that they're going to do this correctly with Watchmen.
It's a very easy situation to operate. You just push the buttons in right here on the 2 sides. There are 2 little buttons. And all you do is push them in, and that will release it. And right here, push the button in, that releases it. And then after you let go, it locks firmly in place. So really, you're all set. And this is tough.
It is?
Listen, give you an example. Say you have you have to get up on the wall, high ceiling, vault the ceiling. Hey, listen, just walk right up. And I tell you, it's very safe, it's durable, and it's lightweight.
You're scaring me.
So really, see, now it's locked in place, okay? So really, you say,
oh God, Harold, are you okay?
Actually, I didn't have it locked. You have to lock it. Once you lock it, you're okay. But it is very safe to operate. So, continue to call for it.
All righty. Well, Harold, I hope you're okay.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We are going to be doing our disappointing list. We had a slight error. For some reason or another, it didn't want to record my section when we originally recorded this. So we're going to capture the same magic as we did previously as we go through our disappointing list, or our top 5 disappointing issues. So go ahead and start off with yours.
All right, well, number 5 on my top 5 most disappointing issues of the past year is going to be Cage #1. I think we were kind of excited about this going into it because it was a Luke Cage book. I had never read a Luke Cage book. And I was a little put off by the cover, and I was like, well, the covers never add up with what the actual artwork is in the book.
Yeah.
Except for this cover. The cover to this is the exact artwork that's in the book, and it kind of reminded me of like Powerpuff Girls, which is not terrible artwork, but it threw me off. As well as the story really wasn't that interesting. The only interesting thing about the book was the fact that it's taking place back in what was it, like the 70s?
The 70s, yeah.
Yeah, and we learned that because they had that one great scene in the book where you had Cyclops and Wolverine in the apartment with Luke Cage.
That was a redeemable thing about it.
Yeah, but it wasn't good enough to save the book though. Like,
yeah,
it was just a letdown.
No, and that was my number 5 as well. I was pretty excited because it looked goofy. Like I had a feeling going into it, it was going to be kind of wacky. Different Luke Cage, since we already have the Luke Cage in the original universe right now. But yeah, some of the dialogue just didn't mesh, and like I had mentioned previously, like it almost felt like a black exploitation film. But
yeah, it was like they were trying to go for like a Black Dynamite, like they was kind of trying to make fun of blaxploitation. But there's good ways and bad ways to do that, and this was kind of a bad way to do it.
No, yeah, excuse me, yeah, it didn't flow at all. It was a little wonky.
No, it left me wanting, and it wasn't interesting enough for me to want to stick around for the remaining issues.
Yeah, we dropped it. Both of us dropped it.
Yeah, we
after that.
We dropped that thing fast.
But we got Power Man and Iron Fist, so that's awesome.
Yeah, that almost put this out of my mind.
Yeah, it put it out of my mind. I was just like, okay, Marvel is trying something not for me. I'll just stick to my Power Man and Iron Fist for now.
Yeah, and that Power Man and Iron Fist, like, it made me forget this book until it came time for us to pick our top 5 disappointments. Yeah. And then I quickly found it in my pile of comics and was like, oh yeah, I remember this book now.
I got a chance to read their Christmas special. It was pretty good.
Oh,
I won't spoil it for you. You should check it out.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Just tell me one thing.
Yep.
Does he say "Sweet Christmas" in it?
Him and someone else as well. It's a good moment. It's a good moment.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, you should. Cool. Yeah, we both had the same number 5. So my number 4 is going to be Spider-Gwen. We were pretty hyped on that train because we were learning that the different universe Daredevil was in here, and he was causing problems for Spider-Gwen, and they almost made it seem like obviously he was quote unquote working for Kingpin, but it comes to find out that he was, which is a cool twist, but it didn't hit. It took forever, and then when we finally got the issue that it led up to, it dropped the ball as well, because it was like 3 holiday issues, and it ended with the holiday issue, and on a bad note for me. So it was just a very, very disappointing arc that they put together, and I'm not sure if it was the editor's choice or what happened there, but fortunately it just failed for me.
Yeah, I knew for a fact you were going to pick that. I think that it's hard enough to have 3 holiday, because all 3 issues were holiday issues from that arc, like the remaining 3. Because we had the Halloween issue, then we had that issue, which was number 14, which was the Thanksgiving issue.
Yep.
And then the last issue they did was the Christmas issue. And the Thanksgiving issue was, like you just said, it was extremely weak. It didn't further the story any, and it was a shame because I'm a fan of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
And that really didn't do anything to the story. It was pointless, and it didn't even have anything to do with Thanksgiving. There was no turkey in it.
There was no turkey, no, just chicken. And we had talked about that as well, like Porcupine, because this issue came out after Spider-Woman. So
yeah, the following week,
and Porcupine had died, and he's showing up, and not only that, like the art change when Jessica Drew and I forget his real name, but I'm going to say Porcupine for now. I know it starts with the R, but it's not coming to my mind right now. But
yeah, it was a dramatic art change when they showed up in that book.
Yeah,
that was like
when they showed up.
Book.
Yeah, it was just it did not feel right, and it wasn't a solid transition for me. It was oof.
Nah, wasn't a solid issue for me either. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, I had been enjoying it. I mean, we're excited for the next issue. It's going to be her and Miles Morales.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. Help redeem it. Maybe they were just kind of holding off to lead up to that, but even still, the payoff for this little mini holiday arc did not flow well.
Yeah.
But what was your number 4?
My number 4 was actually Aliens: Life and Death, number 3. I know we did this as a toss-up issue one week, and we just wanted to see if we could hop into it, and if we would feel lost hopping into it, and I did feel lost, and that didn't necessarily disappoint me until you told me that it was an overall arc of 17 issues, and then this was an additional arc inside of that of 4 issues.
Yeah,
so it
it's
was
like
two runs in one.
Yep.
So that threw me off because I was already lost reading the issue, which was fine. You know, I did enjoy seeing familiar things from the Alien universe to let me kind of pinpoint what time period this was taking place in. But it just felt like there was so much stuff I was missing, and I would have had no issue going back and reading 1 and 2. But when you told me that there was a total of 17 issues in this whole entire arc, I was like, so you mean they decided to do a run within a run? Like that's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty, because I remember when it came out, I didn't know that it was going to be this long of the arc, but like you said, issues with it, or a series within a series. So yeah, it was definitely a weird jumping on point for us because we had no. I think maybe if the whole series would have been smaller, or if we would have been following it, we would have understood it. But yeah, it was a weird jumping on point. It didn't make my list because it was like one of those like random issues that we had chose. Granted, I felt lost and didn't know much of what was going on. But it was still a little bit enjoyable for me.
I mean, it was slightly enjoyable, but it was just so much that I wish I would have known who this person was. Why is this person here? Why are they? You know, there's just so much stuff that I wanted to know what was going on, and to find out that there was, you know, a bunch of issues before this, not just 2 before this, but a bunch more before this that would have helped me understand the whole overall story
of what's going on. Yeah, I went back and read all of Life and Death, but I haven't been able to find the time to go back because this would have been I'm not sure what section of the 17 they're on at the moment, but they just started Alien versus Predator for the next arc. So
okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be maybe at some point. I think once it's all wrapped up, I'll go ahead and read it because I do want to hop into that book. It seemed interesting enough, and we're both Alien fans, so maybe that'll be one that we'll not re-record, but we'll read it sometime and record it, talk about it.
Yeah,
add that to the list.
Revisit it.
Yes, and see if it was worth the 17 issues. Awesome. So what is so you did your number 4, so my number 3, we're at my number 3 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 3 is going to be what we talked about in the last episode, is Wolf Cop 3. I believe it was yours as well, if I can remember.
It may be making an appearance.
Okay.
It's not my number 3, but it might make an appearance.
Okay. So yeah, Wolf Cop 3 for me, it was a huge letdown because we had been following the series from the start and giving it, we've been hyping it up and really enjoying it because we both love the movie as well. So it was just very disappointing for the outcome of what they did and the new timeline that it felt like, and them almost setting up for the movie to come out what it felt like. But even then, there was no explanation for a certain, it's spoilers, when Willie dies in the previous issue, and then he comes back and there's no explanation. And zero. They have a slight dialogue about it, but they don't explain how this happened. But all in all, it just felt like it was setting up for the movie to come out. And I'm pretty sure it's the last issue too, because I looked for solicits for it and I couldn't find any. So if this is the end and it's wrapped up like this is maybe one of the worst arc ending issues I've ever read.
Yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking for us. Like you said, we've been hyping up Wolf Cop and been loving it so much, and that was just, oh man, the pain is still fresh.
It is. So maybe they'll, I don't know, I'm not sure how they would redeem themselves in the comic verse, but we'll have to see when the movie comes out and see how they pull that off, and maybe it's explained during the movie.
I would hope they would, but I don't think it is, because from the beginning, since issue number 1, it seemed like it was in a different universe from the movie.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 3 where you're kind of like, well, is it in the same universe as the movie, or is it its own standalone thing? Or
yeah, I'd say it almost felt like it could have been its own standalone issue, but it wouldn't have made sense because he called Tina, at the end of issue 2. He's like, after Willie's death, and he's like, I'm coming back. So
yeah, it was a
bummer.
That was just a weird issue.
Yeah. Well, what was your number 3?
My number 3 is The Flash, number 10. I wanted to love this book, but this was actually my first Flash book that I actually read. And I remember this was coming out. They were talking about they were bringing back a classic Flash villain, which turned out to be Shade. And I couldn't get into it. I didn't like the whole drama that they were trying to stir up between the New 52 Wally West and Barry Allen, where he's not telling him exactly who he is, but he's offering to train him. Yet Iris knows that Wally is Kid Flash, and Shade really didn't do it for me as a villain. I mean, I saw potential there, but it didn't do anything for me. And especially Paper Cut.
Yeah,
that was the other thing got me was the first villain he fought, Paper Cut.
Yeah, he was a pretty lame villain. Pretty lame.
Yeah, pretty lame. He was lame, and then they tried to make him sweet after they talked about how lame he was.
Yeah, they even wasted him too, because he went to jail, at the end of the issue, and he was barely in the issue.
It wasn't even the end of the issue. He went to jail before the halfway mark.
Oh shit! See.
Yeah, so it really didn't do it for me, and I wanted to love this so bad because The Flash is one of my first superheroes that was my favorite. It's always The Flash, and Spider-Man were my first 2 superheroes. So I wanted to so bad enjoy this, but I just couldn't. It was a disappointment.
Yeah, in 2 weeks we get the Rogues Gallery, so I'm looking forward to that, and I heard good things about the last issue that came out.
Is it still in its arc? Are they done with Shade? And is it somebody different?
It's wraps it up, but it has a nice little tie-in, and there's some good moments I hear. So I think before that comes out, I'll probably read the last issue of the arc and go from there. Let's see what this Rogue Gallery brings. Yeah,
this made me want to take a slight break from Flash, so I do want to jump on and start trying to give Flash a chance again. But
yeah, we definitely will.
I couldn't do it for this arc after this issue.
No, same here. We'll do it again for sure when it comes out. Go from there. That's cool.
All right, well, that was my number 3. We're at your number 2 now?
We're at my number 2 now. It won't be the same shock value as we got last time, but it is Duck Avenger number 1, the first half.
I'm still no. Trust me, I'm still surprised that you pulled that. Trust me, it's the same shock for me because I'm still like, why did he? How?
All right, good. Yeah, for people that haven't read that issue, it was 72, 78? How many pages was that thing?
Man, that thing was 72 pages.
Yeah, 72 pages, and none of it mattered because by the time you got to the halfway point, there was, what did it say? Everything you just read, doesn't matter. We're going to tell you how it actually happened. So they really waste your time in the first half of the 72-page comic to use the second half to tell the story. And it could have been, obviously condensed. And it was released in 93, 94. And it just pulled from so many other DC and Marvel, things that have happened previously, like Infinite Crisis type deals. And but it was just, it was a waste of time. And it took up, almost an hour of our podcast when we did that episode. And I was like,
that thing ate up most of episode 3. That's episode number 3. If anybody wants to go back and hear it,
yes,
and it did. We flew through the other books. We hit all the points we wanted to make with the other books. We analyzed them and dissected them and was in a groove. And then we got the Duck Avenger and we hit a wall.
We're like, whoa! You take the first half, I'll take the second half.
Man,
and just we went through it and we did it. We were still learning as we do this, but we were really still learning on episode 3.
Yeah, but we were starting to get a rhythm going.
Yeah, and then it just halted us.
And then Duck Avenger was like, "Nah, I don't think so, fellas.
Not happening. Here's a little roadblock for you. You gotta get around this one to... at least we leveled up. Hopefully. But yeah.
Alright, so I guess that brings us to my number 2 then, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
My number 2 was Kiss number 1. We all know that Kiss will slap their name on anything to make some money, which is not a problem. That's what they do. But I was expecting this to actually be pretty good, and the artwork, I did like the artwork. The artwork was pretty good. They had a decent enough story to put Kiss's name on it, but Kiss only shows up twice in the book. They show up in the very beginning of the book, and then they show up at the very end of the book. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. And it just, I don't know. I guess I was expecting more from the Kiss book. I was expecting them to play a bigger role in the first issue.
Same here. Yeah.
And it almost seemed like they had this... It seemed like they found someone who already had this story and was like, well, let's just put Kiss's name in it.
Yeah, that would probably be one of my honorable mentions, because I did expect this, this big start. Because when you think of Kiss, you think of, rock and roll, lights, and, explosions and stuff. So I just thought it would be, because I guess it's based on one of their albums, so it's telling that story. But I guess I don't know. Yeah, we both expected this big first issue to really grab you, but it didn't grab us at all.
Yeah, it did. And it did not grab me. I mean, it had me until I got to the end, and then when I realized I was at the end, that's when I was really, really let down. Because I was just sitting there and like, okay, any minute now, Kiss is any second now, and then when you get to the end, and it's like, no,
you're gonna see Gene Wilder's
they're like the Wizard of Oz giant heads, like.
Yeah, they're in the computer.
And now that I look at it, they gave Gene Simmons the craziest face I've ever seen.
I think issue 3 comes out, or issue 2 or 3 comes out this week, I think. Or that was last week.
It's got to be 3 because I've already seen issue 2 like in the store, and this was like
good stuff. Cool. Well, that brings us to my number 1 disappointing issue is going to be Duck Avenger number 1, the second half of the 72 issue story. Like I said,
I'm still upset that you pulled that. I'm still upset that I didn't even think to do that, and that you pulled that. Like,
yeah, I cheated a little bit. I was like, I had to for this one, because there weren't too many really, really disappointing ones for me. Yeah, I could have put Kiss on there, but it wasn't super disappointing. It was kind of a letdown, but I guess I wasn't as bitter as you were. Understandably so. But yeah, Duck Avenger, obviously, it's essentially, technically, it is 2 comics. So, 2 novels, I should say, because there was so much dialogue in there, too. But yeah, second half, it was all a waste of time, and the story just didn't pay off for it to even be a 72-issue story. And yeah, I can't harken back to what I said for the first half as well, so that's going to be my number 1, because, we expected a fun book. It was fun, but just the length of it, and just the fact that they even tell us that they're wasting our time by even reading the first half, like, they erased that whole time, that whole book. The whole first half is erased, so there's no point in that first half even being there. So why not start with the second half and just have a less of a comic? So, but what is your number 1? Go ahead.
My number 1 is Duck Avenger number 1. The whole entire book from the front to the back. Oh yeah, just to echo what you said, we expected to have some fun with this book. I had never heard of this before. Like you said, it came out like in the early mid-90s.
Yeah, 93
so
or
I was
94,
like, okay,
I believe.
This could be some 90s cheese, and it could be fun. This was obviously around the time when Darkwing Duck and stuff was popular, and the X-Men and Batman had the Inspireman had the animated shows on TV. So I was like, okay, this could be fun.
Yep.
And then the book starts and just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. And then it gets to the point where it's like, well, the last several pages that you just read don't mean anything. They never happened. So here's what really happened. And it's like, wait a second. Wait, what? So I felt like the comic spit in my face at that point. And then it was just, I don't think this was worth 72 pages. It does feel like they took like a 4-issue or 5-issue miniseries and slapped them together and tried to call it one book. But it wasn't worth that. And it seemed like there was so much stuff they could have cut out this book, shortened it down, and it would have been a better story.
Yeah, it would help.
But it just seemed like they were trying to throw everything they could into this book, and it didn't work.
Yeah, maybe if we would have read it, obviously, and the book's not for us. It's more, a kid-friendly book. But even then, it's like you're still wasting the kids' time. Like,
well, that's what it kind of felt like. It kind of felt like this was meant for younger kids in the 90s who may have been interested in possibly getting into comic books, or maybe were just getting into comic books and they could read this.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, no. Even then, I don't see it working.
No. And you should have saw my notes. Like, I started my notes for this, and I was just like, oh, shit. Like, my note list was pretty long. Because at that point, then I remember we were like, because we were trying to figure out how we were going to tackle it when we got on, because right before we recorded that episode, we were like, we talked about it for a little bit, and we were like, oh, shit. So how do you want to do this book?
Yeah, like, how are you gonna do this book? Because this book is ridiculous, and to be honest, like, that's when we were doing a lot more in depth of the review.
Yeah, so
like, we were literally hitting every single point in the book instead of giving a summary of the story or the summary of what's going on in the book. So imagine hitting every single point in a 72-page book. I think even with us if we were to review this book now, I still think it would have ate up a lot of time. I
think so too, because we would have trashed it a little bit more probably.
Yeah, like even us just going like, okay, we're just gonna hit a brief summary. We're still gonna take like about an hour or so just to talk about this book. That's just to explain the book.
Yeah, to explain the book, yes, and then
that's not even really to get into the review
thoughts
of the book itself.
But no. Cool. So that wraps up our top 5 disappointing issues. That's going to wrap up.
Did you have any honorable mentions?
I did not. Besides,
or should
Kiss.
I say dishonorable mentions?
Just Kiss. Now that you had mentioned it.
Oh, okay. Well,
how about you?
Oh, I have a few.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mr. Cheater over here.
I have a few. The first one is going to be Wolf Cop number 3. Super disappointing letdown, and it's a shame that this book and the next book that I'm going to say could have one thing in the book that can completely take you out the story, and that's what happened. It was one instant in the book that took me so far out the story that I was upset and let down so badly. And the next dishonorable mention I have that let me down was Detective Comics number 947. And that's because we were following the Victim Syndicate since the beginning of this arc. We were throwing out our ideas on who first victim was, and then we get to the end of this issue and we have no reveal of who first victim is. We have the easy explanation that, he doesn't have fingerprints, we don't have DNA, his face is so badly scarred we don't know who he is, and we're going to let him keep the mask so that the readers won't know who it is. And I just felt like this is something that they're going to do. They're going to put first victim into the closet, and then they're going to bring him out at a later date, and by the time they bring him out that date and reveal who he is, I'm not going to care.
Yeah, by the time they do it,
like, I really won't care. Unless they bring him out and say, it's Thomas Wayne, then I'll be like, what? But unless it's something super huge like that, I'm not going to care who it is.
No. Unless it ties in with the Watchmen craziness as well.
Yeah, it's going to be something like, if they can do it like that kind of reveal, then it may make it up for me. but unless it's something super unbelievably huge, like, I'm not going to care.
Yeah, I definitely, everything you say I hearken to as well. Yeah, if and when they pull it off and it is tied into the whole Watchmen thing, like, they would have to still write that story perfectly for it to really catch me, since we had already read it. So it's really, really, really got to pay off. But yeah, I definitely understand. I wouldn't make it one of my disappointing. I was a little let down. But yeah, it wasn't one of my disappointing issues, I'd say.
It disappointed me so much just because we've been so deep into it.
Yeah.
And it was a good issue. That's what disappointed me the most, is that the rest of the issue was good.
Yeah, some of its little flaws, but yeah. Overall,
I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying the rest of the issue was perfect. It was good. It was decent enough.
No, I agree.
But my next dishonorable mention is going to be Spider-Gwen 14. I think you've already covered exactly why it was horrible. Turkey Day issue with no turkey, no moving of the plot, no excitement. Seemed like they just put it out just so they could capitalize and have some book that had a Thanksgiving theme to it, but Thanksgiving played no part in the book.
Yeah, it almost seemed like Spider-Gwen got the worst of it, because I didn't see really any other issues that tackled each holiday, like every issue like that.
Yeah, this was the first series I've ever seen. I'm sure someone else has probably done it before, but like I said, she had a Halloween issue, she had a Thanksgiving issue, and she had a Christmas issue.
Yeah, and I think the lead-in before the holiday issues were so strong, like going into that whole arc, we were like, okay, maybe this will pay off, but it just did not pay off at all.
It didn't, and this is why it didn't, because this one sucked so much air out of the hype of what was going on in the arc that it was like it's going to be hard to recover from this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we will see.
And they could have made it work. Like I told you, they could have made it work. They could have had her. They could have had Matt Murdock pop in at Thanksgiving dinner that she was having with Porcupine and Spider Woman, and they could have just made it awkward. And that, to me, that would have helped.
That would have helped. Yeah, it just made it super awkward, and him being around and like him being kind of a thorn in her spine.
Yeah, he just could make off the wall comments and everything, and Spider Woman can maybe kind of pick up on it, but think he's talking about something else.
Yeah, he could have been in it a lot more. And I think the reveal, maybe at the end of him being Kingpin, would have been a little more satisfactory.
Well, he's on the cover. That's what really made it bad, was he's on the cover, but yet and still,
all three issues,
what I remember, he didn't pop up in the issue, except in the flashback.
Yeah.
Well, no, he did. He popped up in the beginning of the issue for like 2 pages.
Then went away, yep.
My next dishonorable mention is going to be Tales from the Crypt #1, and the reason this even made it is the fact that this issue was ducking and dodging us for the longest. I think we were going to do it like towards the end of October.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it did not come out until right before December started, I believe.
Yeah, it was late.
And it didn't live up to the hype. You had, 1.5, maybe 2 stories that were good, and then it just didn't live up to the hype. I don't see how it got pushed back as far as it did and was so lackluster.
Yeah.
That was just a huge letdown.
Yeah, I think I remember only liking, I want to say for me as well, like 1.5 of the stories were really worth it, and for the time we waited for it, it wasn't as good as it could have been, I think, if it first came out.
Yeah, reading it I didn't see why it got pushed back. Yeah. The only reason I could see it getting pushed back was getting the art and stuff together.
Art,
story wise, I don't
printing.
see how that got pushed back.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Unless they read it and was like, yeah, we're gonna hold off on this for a little bit.
Try to change some things up.
We put this out during Halloween, it's going to be an embarrassment. So yeah, let's just hold off on it.
That could have been the case as well after they read it.
And well, I do have one more dishonorable mention, and then I'll be done. I know I got like a whole other list, don't I?
The top
My
10.
last dishonorable mention is going to be Duck Avenger #1. This I'm cheating like you cheated. I found a way to cheat, so it's okay that you did what you did.
Double it up.
I think this book scarred my 2016 year.
Whew. That's saying a lot.
I think I may wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, having nightmares that this book is coming for me.
Duck's gonna be over you, standing over you.
Oh, yeah. This book would definitely have me checking out thoroughly any book we decide to do that's off the beaten path.
Sounds good. Yeah, that was my fault.
No. That's what we do on this show. On this show, that's what we do. You know, we have our established characters and books that we both bring to the table, and then we have our random picks and books that we do that are off the beaten path. Yeah. So the fact you picked it wasn't bad. It was a bad book.
Yes, indeed.
Every book we do is not going to be great.
No, not. Sweet. Well, do you have a top 11 list? You got one more in you?
Let's.
If you do.
Now that you mention it, but I will say this for all the books we just named that we didn't like from the past year, we did have a ton of books that we did like, and a ton of books that were fun, and a bunch of books that weren't terrible, but were good enough to enjoy. Yeah,
next year we'll have a whole year of books under our belt, opposed to 3 or 4 months. So it'll make it even more harder to choose our top 5.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I am looking forward to actually, having a full year of shows under our belt and having even more books to pull my hair out while I'm trying to go through and figure out which ones were good and which ones were bad.
Yeah, have some change up the categories too, or something like that as well. Put some fun things on there. Top villains, top worst villains, best action scene.
I know if we did that for this past year, I know exactly who gets top worst villain for me.
Let me guess. Matt Murdock and Spider-Gwen?
No, because he made it up in the following issue of being a bad villain.
Yeah.
You must have forgot he had that that Punisher scene when he walked into the jail.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of blocked that whole issue out after we talked about it.
No. My top worst villain would be a tie between what was his name? Red Rooster, was that his name in Duck Avenger?
Oh yeah, Red Rooster, something like that.
It would be between him, even though he did have the time manipulation powers, which was kind of cool, but it would be between him just because he was a Duck Avenger villain, and Paper Cut.
Yeah, Paper Cut. Yeah, worst villain as well. Yeah, he'd be my number 2.
Because even when they made his power kind of cool, it's like, oh yeah, I can manipulate more than just paper, but it hurts, and it can kill me. It's like you guys just took a lame villain and made him even lamer,
and then arrested him real quick.
All right,
got him off the issue. No more of him.
Yeah. They was like, okay, let's get him out really fast. And it was bad too, because when he made that announcement that he could control stuff other than paper, I was like, okay, this dude might have some kind of redeeming qualities, but then it was like, yeah, but it just hurts. I'm like, oh, are you serious?
Maybe Captain Cold will bust him out of wherever he is.
No. If he becomes a rogue, I'm gonna be mad.
Leave him in there.
You know what they should do? They should have put him on the Suicide Squad and have him die the first mission.
There we go. Red jacket. Or red shirt.
Never have to worry about him again.
Awesome. Cool.
And it could turn out the whole time that Amanda Waller only recruited him so that he could be the fall guy for the rest of the group. Like, she knew he was going to die the first mission.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I could say now, since we didn't put it in the last episode. Well, unless you got anything else for the list or anything like that?
Nope. That was it. Cool. I got my rant out about these books.
Yes, I hope we captured the same excitement and disappointment for these books. Like I said, since we had to re-record this section. But yeah, next year will be fun as well. We'll have a whole year under our belt to choose a lot of comics. But yeah, that is our 2016 half of 2016 list. But next week, make sure you check out our podcast. We release it usually every Sunday night. We record that day as well. But this week, we're going to be talking Batman number 14, Harley Quinn number 10, I believe, correct?
Yes, I think it's number 10 or 11. Might be 11.
Okay. Let me look at this real quick.
Yeah, that's gonna kind of bother me a little bit not knowing that. Let's see. Yep, Batman number 14 and Harley Quinn.
Oh, number 11.
It is number 11. Okay, yeah. I felt like we already did 10.
Okay, so
because 10 was the Christmas issue.
Christmas, yeah, that's right. Forgettable issue. Okay, so we got Batman number 14, Harley Quinn number 11, Faith number 7, Justice League vs. Suicide Squad number 3, Scarlet Witch number 14. We're going to do Deadpool the Duck. That finally comes out. Hasn't been much hype around that, or I haven't really seen anything for it. I've been looking out for it, but they haven't really been promoting it, really.
No, all they did was like, hey, we're doing Deadpool the Duck, look at our cool design, and they didn't hear anything else.
Yeah, so I'm missing my Howard the Duck, and I don't read much Deadpool, so hopefully this satisfies my Howard the Duck fix. And we got Champions number 4. So yes, interesting list this week, and we'll see how all these play out. I've read Faith number 7 already, but I have not read anything else yet. But yeah, that's going to be fun. Cool, everyone. Thank you again for listening to us. As well, always follow us on Twitter at Comics Corner Pod, and email us at columbuscomicscorner@gmail.com as well. But for now, we will talk to you next Sunday. Peace.
Oh my God!